Hello, and welcome to Thinking Outside the Box. I'm Allison, and today I will be showing you how I created this sea turtle pendant. I work a lot with polymer clay and resin, and also with liquid clay. The good folks over at Lucy Clay sent me their new product called Glassymer. It comes in black, yellow, green, white, red, blue, and magenta. I do not have the magenta, but it's on the way. And it is also available in transparent. You can mix all of these colors together to form your own palette of colors. So you notice that purple isn't here, but if you mix the red and the blue, you'll get purple. If you mix the red and the yellow, you'll get orange. You can also make a really pretty teal. You can mix them with the transparent to give you a lighter color and to make these colors more transparent. This is a liquid clay like no other on the market. It is not your typical liquid polymer clay. Depending on how you use it, it can be spongy and squishy, very flexible once cured, or if applied in thin coats, like over your polymer clay, it can be hard and shiny, so it can give you a really nice finish to your pieces. I was challenged by Lucy Clay to come up with some projects, and you just know I love a challenge. So for the next 2 or 3 tutorials, I will be showing you some ideas on how to use the new Glassymer. I'm going to go ahead and get set up for the supplies needed to create this sea turtle pendant, and I'll be back. The supplies needed to create this project: you are going to need some Lucy Clay Glassymer in transparent, in blue, and in white. You're going to need some little cups for mixing, and these are just little plastic, like little medicine cups, like you would get for NyQuil and stuff like that. You're going to need a tool for mixing, something similar to this, and I'll show you why I use this particular tool. You're going to need this bezel. You're going to need some silver foil powder, and I get that from RJ Crafts, along with the Radiant White mica pigment from RJ Crafts. You're going to need a little smidgen of polymer clay in your choice of color or brand, doesn't matter. You're going to need this cute little turtle charm. You're going to need some cracked sand. And this is not the one that I used in this pendant. I actually used this cracked sand here that I found at the Dollar Tree. It's very coarse, and I wanted to also try a pendant using a finer cracked sand. And this one has not been finished and resined yet, and the extra little inclusions are not on there. But this is how I created the craft sand. And as we're creating, I will go into certain things with this sand, and I created so many of them to try and perfect this for you. I will show you my boo-boos and what to do and what not to do. You're going to need some UV resin, and that's how I finished off this piece. I applied a top coat of UV resin. These are sand stars from RJ Crafts, and I love these. These are so cute. They actually come from Japan and are considered to be lucky. So we'll see about that. You're going to need some toothpicks And I think I went over everything. So let me go ahead and get set up and we'll get started. First thing we need to do is we need to make our sandy base. And I like to make a little ledge at the end, and that's where your beach part is going to be. When I first created this was actually the first one that I created. And I used this particular sand from the Dollar Tree. And I truly do love the way that this came out. The only thing that I wasn't, well, I mean, I really like it a lot. So that is one way you can do it. But I also wanted to try it with a finer sand. And my first attempt with this sand here, and all of the supplies that I showed you in the beginning, I will have a link below this video. So tap the arrow next to the title and it will give you a drop-down menu of the description of this video with all the links. I tried it with this sand, and when I love how this came out. And the sand, if you notice, got a little darker once I did it. Not by much, but it is a little bit darker. So I really wanted to achieve like a white sand look. So I went on to create more, and I truly love the way that this one came out. I got it down to the white, more white in the sand, and got a little better with the waves, and a square popped up in the middle of this. I don't know if you can see that on camera, and this has not been resined yet. So you can see that this Glassymer, it has a shiny finish. It is really cool stuff. But to protect it, I like to put the resin coating on top. Somehow I got a square in the middle of that. So that was kind of weird, kind of cool. This actually was my first attempt with this sand, and everything that was blue turned green. And if you're going for green water, that's fine. And if you're going for darker sand, that's fine too. And this was the last one I made, and I'm much happier with the sand. It's whiter. I did put a lot of seafoam there, and I got my blues to be bluer because my sand was not as yellow, because yellow and blue make green. So I also, in my very first one, if you know me, you know I love sparkle, and there's not a bit of sparkle in this. So I needed to add a little sparkle to the sand. And it is sparkly now, but once I put the resin on top, you will really see the sparkle come out in the sand. So back to typical Alison needing her sparkle. So I'm going to show you how to create the sandy bottom. And all you're going to need for this first step is your transparent, your white mica powder, and that's it. Your cups, your mixing cups. All right, so the first thing that you want to do is you want to put some sand into your mixing cup. And I'm not going to give you exact measurements. You just got to kind of play around with it, because to be honest, I don't know exact measurements. I just kind of do everything by eye. All right, so you've got your sand in there, and now you're going to want to add a little bit of your Transparent Glassymer. And I like to shake this up a little bit, and go ahead and put a few drops to start in there, and have paper towel on hand, because you're going to want to wipe the tops of your bottles off. Sometimes they drip a little. All right, so we're going to go ahead and mix this up, and what we're doing is we don't want this to be runny, but we also don't want it to be too dry. So I can already tell that this is going to be too dry. Kind of looks like a breadcrumb topping that you would put on a cobbler. So I'm going to add a little bit more of the transparent. And just do a little bit of a time. You don't, you know, because if you put too much in, then you're going to have to add more sand to get it back down. So this looks like a really good consistency. So I'm going to stop here. Go ahead and mix this up. And the next thing we're going to want to do is add 4 drops is what I put in for this amount of clay and transparent, or sand and transparent mixture. I'm going to add 4 drops of the White Glassymer. So I just upside down, 1, 2, 3, 4. And go ahead and mix that up. And you want to mix that well because you want that White Glassymer to get totally mixed in with your sand and transparent Glassymer mix. And I'm sorry for the noises in the background. I have, in my new studio, I have like a mini split air conditioner wall system. And my husband says that there was too much moisture in here. I didn't really feel it, but he's an heat and air conditioning guy. So he's a professional at this. And he ended up having to get me a device, and I can't think of the name of it, to take the moisture out of the air. Dehumidifier, there we go. So it goes on and off in the background, and there's nothing I can do about that studio noise now. So we'll just have to deal with it. But hopefully you can still hear me over it. All right, the next step is we need to turn the air conditioner off, and I had my remote on hand, so I didn't have to run across the studio to get it. Grab yourself a toothpick and open up your mica. And the reason I turned the air conditioner off is because I did not want this flying all over the place. My air conditioner points right at me on my workspace and keeps me nice and cool. Now here you're gonna add as much as you want. This is also gonna add a little white to your project, which is what we're looking for. And it's going to add a rainbow of sparkle. And who doesn't love sparkle? I know I can't live without the stuff. All right, so we've got that in the mix. Go ahead and close this up. And we're gonna go back to mixing. And you wanna mix this up really good. And if you see, it's very pasty, which is exactly the consistency that you want. Just like that. All right, I think that's mixed up pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this sit for a minute, and I'm gonna show you what I do with our little sea turtle. This little guy here is actually a bead. He has a hole in his butt and a hole in his head. And I like to fill that in so that when you look at the pendant, you don't see that bead hole. So that is where your little teeny piece of clay is going to come in handy. And we're not even going to use all of that. I'm going to go ahead and roll this into a snake. And you want this snake to be small enough to fit through that hole. So we'll have to roll a little thinner. And it still doesn't fit, so break some of that off and we'll go even thinner. All right, we've got it now. Now you just want to pinch that off and pinch that one off. And now we filled our hole. And what I like to do is I like to take just a little bit more clay, just for good measure, and just push it on in there. Now you're going to take a small brush and this is where we use our silver foil powder, just so that it matches up with the silver on the turtle. So I just take a little dab and dab it right on there, and another little dab and get the back. So you're just brushing it onto that clay to change the color of the clay to silver. And that's it. So we'll go ahead and put this aside. Then I just blow off any excess mica powder that might have been on the turtle. All right, now we're gonna go ahead, we'll put him to the side, and we're gonna go ahead and fill our bale with the sand mixture that we created. And you just start by just putting it in there. And again, you're gonna wanna have some paper towels handy for this next step. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna push it around with our fingers. And you do not wanna fill up to the top with sand. You're just putting a thin layer in. So I may even take some of this out. I may have put too much in. So you're just covering up the bottom. And I do have just a little bit too much, so I'm gonna scoop some of this out and put it back in there. Just a very thin bottom is all that you're looking for. And do that all the way around. Now you're also going to want down, this is the top of the pendant, this is the bottom. And you could do the opposite if you want. If you want the turtle coming up, you would just do that at that end. But I prefer it down here. And you're gonna make this up to the top at this end. So it's gonna be like your beach right there. All right, now you're gonna wanna get this tool, and I'll have a link to this in the description, or you can use anything similar to it. You don't have to buy this tool. And you're just gonna pull that clay down from the edge so it's down at the bottom. And you're gonna do that all the way around. And you want to take your time on this step. Actually, in all of the steps for this, you kind of don't want to rush through this, but it is a pretty quick project. The thing that takes, I would say, the most time is the baking. the curing of the clay. All right, so now I'm gonna just make this a little bit more of a ledge. And I think on this one, I'm just gonna make it a bigger ledge than the others that I've made. So you're pushing it up so that this is even to the top, and flattening this out so you just have a nice thin layer. So this side will be shallower than this side. That's your beach there that the turtle is going up onto. And then I just kind of smooth that edge out there. You want to make sure if you have this particular bale that you're using, because this bale has little dots on it, you want to make sure that you just cover it all with clay. Some of them are with the sand clay mixture. Some of them still may come out, and that's fine because it gives a little interest to the bottom of the sea or bottom of the ocean. All right, so we've made sure that we have a ledge here. And I am just going to add a little bit more to my beach. Just to make sure that it is higher than the rest. And because you've made this thick, it's really not going to move on you. It's not that liquid anymore because you've mixed the sand in with it. So, all right, I think our beach looks good. And I think the bottom of our ocean looks good. So the next step is you just want to clean your edges up. And I simply just take my finger and go around the edge of the bezel and just wipe off any excess. If you forget this step, or if you still have some of the Glassymer on there, no big deal. At the end, after you cure this, you can go ahead and scrape that off. Now we're going to take our little turtle, and we want to put him coming out of the water, going up onto the beach. And that is entirely up to you as to where you would like your turtle. I like to not have him right up on the edge because when you go to UV resin, the piece at the end, you don't want him right near the edge because it's just a whole lot harder to apply the resin without it oozing all over the place off the side of the piece. So I think I'm going to have him coming up to the beach at this end. And I don't want him too close to the edge. And I do want him coming up onto the beach. So that's it. That's all you need to do. Now we need to put this onto a tile, a ceramic tile, and you're going to put it in your dedicated oven that you use for polymer clay. You are going to bake this at 280 for 30 minutes. Now my particular convection oven only goes to 275. I can't get the 280 temperature on there, so I have to set it for 275, or I can go 290. It's weird. It has like these preset things on it, but 275 is my go-to temperature. I've been baking these at 275 for 30 minutes and they've been coming out perfect. So if you fall into that same problem that I have with your oven not being able to set the temperature, the degree that you want it at, 275 will work just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in my oven at 275, and I will be back when it's fully cured and cooled. Okay, our piece is out of the oven and it is fully cured and cooled off. And I don't know if you can see the sparkle. I mean, it's very shiny, but I don't think the camera is picking up the sparkle that's in the sand, but I am in love with it. So as you can see, you can touch it. Now we are going to mix up our water for our ocean. And what you're gonna need for this step are your toothpicks. You're gonna need 3 of your little cups, the White Glassymer, the Blue Glassymer, and of course our Transparent Glassymer. So I'm gonna put those off to the side. The first thing you're gonna do is take 2 of your cups and you're going to put 1 drop in this cup and 2 to 3 drops in this cup. We're gonna try and get a gradient color going here. And because I've made more beach, we have less room to do that. So I'm gonna go with 2 and 1. So 1 drop in this cup and 2 in this cup. Make sure that you have your paper towels on hand, because you're definitely going to need them for this step, and I've already spilled. All right, now we are going to add some transparent glassymer to those. And on these cups, you have drams. On this side, it shows drams, and I usually go 1/8 of a dram, or 1/8 of an ounce, which is 1 dram. So I'm going to fill those with the transparent to that dram line of 1. And it's probably going to be a little more than you need, so you could probably get 2 pendants out of this water. And this does not dry up, so you know, even if you were to use it tomorrow or the next day, I would just cover it to keep dust out of it. But you don't have to throw out your excess. You can use it, and you don't have to use it right away, because it's liquid clay and it's not going to dry up. So this is our darker. I'm going to go ahead and, rather than use a toothpick, use this tool here, which makes it a whole lot easier to mix. And you just want to mix that up really good and get all that blue dispersed. And then you're going to do the same for your lighter blue. All right, so you see this one's lighter, this one's darker. Now you're also going to want to have a little bit of your transparent in one of these cups. Just a little bit. Whatever you don't use, you can pour right back into your bottle. Now I'm going to start by spooning some of this in to the top. And now I'm going to put some of the lighter in there. And go back to a little more of the darker. And when you're filling in your water, you don't want to fill it up to the top of your bezel either. You want to leave some space there to finish off with your UV resin. And now I'm going to wipe my tool off and add a little bit of the transparent up here. And we'll be mixing some of that blue in with that. Okay, that's looking good. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put this on a tile because the veil on the bezel actually makes it tilt towards the turtle. So hanging that veil off the edge makes this whole area now completely flat. I didn't want it going that way. So we're just gonna take a toothpick and we're gonna start playing with the water. We may have to add more to it, but right now we just kind of wanna mix it up a little so that you're getting a little lighter blue up at the top, and then you have lighter in the middle and even darker towards the back. So I think I'm gonna add just a little bit more of the lighter blue to bring my water line up closer to the beach. And go ahead and take my toothpick and start moving that around. And this is just, you know, however you want to do it. It doesn't have to be exactly how I'm doing it. You might have come up with a better way than what I'm doing. And that's great, loving it. I'm just trying to kind of blend this around and kind of, you know, making it look like water movement and waves. And we want to make sure that we have enough up on our shore where we can add our seafoam. So I'm going to add just a little bit more of the transparent up here. And go back to mixing. Getting our lighter blue up on the shoreline. And you just keep doing this until you're happy with how it looks. I've made some extra beach on this one. The others had just a little bit of beach to it. So this one I wanted to try with you guys, making a bigger beach. And I think I'll add just a little bit more of the darker blue to the back. I don't want to add too much because I don't want to take it to the rim. I want to leave room for my resin because I may have to put 2 coats of resin on. And just a little more blue, light blue in here. And go ahead and blend that in. All right, now we're going to add our seafoam. And to do that, you're going to need your White Glassymer. And I usually just work right out of the cap for this. So you take a clean toothpick and just put a little bit on your toothpick and run it along your shoreline. And then just kind of feather it out like seafoam would be crashing up on the shore. What the waves leave behind, that's all entirely up to you too. All right, done with that. So we're gonna go ahead and put the lid back on. And now the very last step. And if you work with UV resin, you will know a lot of people like to add dots in with the clear resin after they've added their colorant. So if they made their blue water, they would add clear drops of resin to make it look more like water. So what I like to do is to take the Transparent Glassymer and add some drops. And you put them wherever you want. As many or as little. It just gives it just a little more, I don't know. It's not as pronounced as when you do it with UV resin, but it definitely does add some more to the piece than doing it without that step. This particular piece here, I did not do that. So it didn't come out to my liking. I forgot that step when I was doing it. So you just put them where you want, big, little, doesn't matter. This is your art. So you do what you want with it. And some of them I'm gonna make just a little bit bigger than others. And do a couple little ones over here. And I like to let this sit for just a minute in hopes that, you know, some of that will sink down and not just stay sitting on the top. Now we're gonna go ahead, let this sit for a minute, and then go ahead and put it in your oven. Make sure that if you're using this particular bezel, that the bail part is hanging over the tile. So you're gonna put this in your oven and you are going to bake at 280 degrees for 30 minutes, but my oven, like I said, only does 275 or way too much. So I'm going to go ahead and put it at 275 for 30 minutes. And I do want to add a little touch up to my seafoam because while we were sitting here, some of it disappeared. So I'm just going to add a little bit more so that I don't need to do this again in the next step. This will be our last baking step. So go ahead and get things how you want them before you pop this into the oven. All right, so I'm gonna do that, put it in the oven, and when it is fully cured and cooled, I will be back. So while we are waiting for our piece to fully cure in the oven, I wanted to show you that unlike UV resin, if you're not happy with something, rather than wasting this whole bezel and this cute little turtle, this can be torn down so that everything can be reused other than the Glassymer. I really love the seafoam in this piece, but I'm just not really feeling all the green. So I'm gonna show you how this can be torn up, and I don't want you to cringe, okay? Some of you may like this and go, no, don't do that. But I did want to show you that you can tear this up and you can reuse your bezel and your little turtle. And it's really easy. You just take a sharp tool and just dig in there and start peeling it out. And the top part just basically comes completely off. And here you will see, I'm glad that we did this because you will see how rubbery the Glassymer is. I mean, this is some pretty cool stuff. And it's pretty hard to break. I mean, I'm pulling pretty hard on that and it's not breaking. So we're gonna go ahead and take our little turtle out because, you know, we don't like to waste stuff. Things are expensive. We weren't happy with that project, so we wanna redo it. No big deal. We have salvaged our turtle and now we're gonna go ahead and salvage our bail. And the only thing that we really wasted was a little bit of Glassymer and the sand that we used. And you just go ahead and pull this stuff out. It is that simple. And it just all comes right out and you go ahead, finish cleaning it up, but look at that. You have a bail that you can reuse. So if you make something and you're not happy with it, just tear it up and start over. I just wanted to show you that. I'll be back when everything is fully cured. Okay, our piece is out of the oven. It is fully cured and fully cooled. And I'm really liking the extra sparkle in the sand because it also, and I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it comes up through the water. And once you put resin on this piece, that sparkle that's in there will pop. You'll really be able to see it better. So I'm gonna show you how to go ahead and apply your star sand. And I want to go ahead and show you what they look like. They're very, very small. And we may not even be able to get them, it is so little, get it on camera. But I wanted to show you not only do you get star sand with this, but you also get what's called sun sand. This right here is star sand. It's very small, so it's perfect for our project. And of course, it's in the shape of a star. The one next to it kind of looks like a little teeny turtle. That is sun sand, and that looks more like a sun. Now, I'll tell you, there are only a few places in the world that you can get this star sand, and Okinawa, Japan is one of them. Star sand is a biogenic sand made of skeletons of teeny monocelled sea creatures belonging to the Foraminifera group. It's found in a very limited area of Okinawa. It is also said that star sand brings great happiness to hold, and many use it as good luck charms. So who doesn't need a little bit of good luck? I also wanted to share with you before we go ahead and apply these to our project, if you did not want to do a sea turtle as your project, in RJ Craft's shop, she also has sand dollars, and there's some little ones and bigger ones, all different sizes of sand dollars. She has starfish, all sorts of little starfish, and she also has teeny shells. So if you wanted to do just a beach theme with some shells and some sand dollars and some starfish, you could do that and not even add a turtle to it. So I just wanted to share that with you. Now what we're going to do to apply our star sand and sun sand is we're going to put just a little bit of our UV resin in a silicone bowl, and you need to decide where you want to put it. So you want to go ahead and get a toothpick out, and I think that I want one here, so I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of UV resin right there, and go ahead and pick up one of our star sand, put it down, go ahead, find another spot you want to put one, and I think I'll put one here. And another thing I like about the lighter sand is that your star sand is going to show up better. Maybe put one over here, put a bigger one there, and then maybe a couple little ones here. You don't want to get too close to the edge, remember, because you're going to be putting resin there, and we'll put him more in the white so that you can see him. And the resin will be going over these also. So I think we'll do one more right here, and we'll find this itty bitty little star and put it there. Now you're going to go ahead and put this under your UV lamp for about 3 minutes, and I'll be back. Okay, those are cured on the piece now. And to apply your resin, you're probably going to want to do it in 2 coats. So the first coat, I usually start down at the bottom and just put a little bit of resin to start. You don't want to go crazy because you don't want it to overflow off the edges. So you just want to smooth it around with a toothpick and make sure it gets over all the areas. I don't put resin on top of the turtle on his shell. I just kind of leave that exposed. But you're going to want to run it around so that it gets all up around him on both sides. And be careful with your toothpick on the Glassymer. You don't want to poke at it. You just kind of want to smooth it out along, with the edge of your toothpick. And you just keep going around until you have it all covered. And like I said, I like to start down at the bottom and then work my way towards the rest of it. And remember, you have to leave the bail hanging over the edge to make your piece flat. So I'm gonna add a little bit up the top here. And then we'll go ahead and smooth that out. And on this part, this time, try not to get the edges of the bezel. I do get them though with the second coat. But on this one, just try and stay inside that bezel. So you want to get this as even as you can, all the way around. And if you get it close enough to the edges, it's going to, you know, smooth out and even out on its own. So I'll just take my toothpick and go around the edges. Make sure that it's all covered. And you know, you're gonna have a little less down by the sand because the sand is higher. But go along, make sure your middle is all covered. And then we're gonna do a once over very quickly. We're not touching the resin, we're just going above it with the lighter to get out any kind of air bubbles that will be there. And there I was just smoothing that out. I could see that it wasn't right up against the edge. Yeah, if we had a lighter that worked, there we go. Then again, we have an air conditioner that's going. There, much better. All right, so we've got rid of all of our air bubbles. We're gonna go ahead and put this under our UV lamp for 4 minutes and I'll be back. First coat is cured. Now we're gonna go on to the second coat. And there, you wanna be careful with this coat because you don't want it spilling off the edges. So you want to start small. You do not want to put a lot of resin on there to start. And I like to start down at the end. And we'll put just a little bit on there and go ahead and smooth it out with the toothpick. And turn if you have to. And now we're going to put some on the rest of the piece. And you don't want to go too much because it's not fun when resin spills over the edge. So just bring it out right now to the inside of the bezel. And then the last step, we're actually going to go to the very edge of it. And I need just a little bit more resin. Smooth it all out. Get all around the turtle. And now what we're going to do is we're going to pull that resin out onto the metal part. And I like to do this because It just gives a smoother appearance in the end. I mean, you don't have to do it. It's just what I do. And you do that all the way around. Keep turning your piece as needed. And that's the nice thing about working on a tile, is that you can just turn your tile without having to disturb your piece. Because you want to keep this flat. You want to keep that bail over the edge so it stays flat. And then last, we need to get all the way to the edge on the top. Make sure all your edges have resin on them. Go ahead and get the lighter out to pop any bubbles. And then go around and inspect your piece before you put it in the lamp, because once you put it in there, the only way to fix something is to go over it again with resin. So what I'm doing is I'm checking to make sure I got all the edges and that all the bubbles are gone. And it looks good. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this in the UV lamp for 8 minutes and I'll be back. All right, our piece is fully cured with the 2 coats of UV resin, and this is what it looks like. It's got a little bit of sparkle. I really love how the water turned out on this one. And it just goes to show, as you go along, just change up things here and there to just keep improving. And I think this is my best one so far. So I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope that it has inspired you with ideas that you can create beautiful things with the new Glassymer from Lucy Clay. These pendants were so much fun to make, and I really love the little star sand and the sun sand, and I'm definitely going to finish these 3 up and give them away as gifts. Don't forget, all you have to do is add a bit of chain to it and you have an instant necklace. Makes a great gift for anybody who is into beaches and sea life and stuff like that. Now, on to the good stuff, the giveaway. Lucy Clay has been generous enough to sponsor this giveaway. One lucky person is going to receive directly from Lucy Clay 1 bottle of the Blue Glassymer, 1 bottle of the White Glassymer, and 1 bottle in this size, which is 50 milliliters, of the Transparent Glassymer. That is an awesome gift. The giveaway is open to U.S. residents only. I'm sorry, but these are Lucy Clay's rules. All you have to do to enter is to like, comment, and share this video to social media. Some examples are Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, or your blog. The winner will be randomly chosen 2 weeks from today, which is Tuesday, June 4th. The winner will be announced on my Facebook page. The link is in the description below the video, as well as links to all the products used in this tutorial. Good luck, and thanks for watching. Have a great week. Until next Tuesday. Bye.
Hey everyone, it's me, Pumpkin. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial my mommy made for you. And if you did, it would be perfect if you would like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you!